The man was planning his escape. As the truck's engine roared to life, he grabbed a wooden plank he'd prepared earlier and slid underneath the vehicle. He quickly wedged the plank onto the chassis and tucked himself into position just before the truck started moving. The engine noise provided perfect cover. The driver didn't suspect a thing. When the gate guard checked underneath with a mirror, the plank blocked his body from view. Just like that, he walked out of prison, a free man. What made this brilliant escape possible was a lucky discovery. While inspecting delivery trucks during work duty, he'd spotted a hidden space beneath the chassis, big enough to fit a full-grown man. Without the driver knowing, he'd secretly measured the dimensions on the ground. Then during work hours, he built a board to match those exact measurements. He even modified his prison clothes to hide the telltale markings, making sure he wouldn't be immediately recognized as an inmate after breaking out. After careful planning, he successfully hitched a ride out on the truck. Before long, the vehicle pulled off the main road and stopped on a side street. The driver had to relieve himself and headed for the bushes. Seizing the opportunity, the man carefully climbed out from under the truck. But he didn't just run off or knock the driver unconscious from behind. Instead, he hid behind the tires. When the driver returned, he circled around to the back of the truck, staying completely out of sight. The driver never had a clue. As the truck pulled back onto the road, the man bolted into the woods like a fish returning to the ocean. His name was Jeffrey Manchester, one of the most legendary and theatrical serial robbers in American history. People called him the Rooftop Bandit. His MO was unique. While other criminals went through the front door or smashed windows, Jeffrey took the unconventional route through the roof. His targets were usually fast food joints like McDonald's or KFC. These places had no security guards, plenty of cash, and easy access. He'd break through the roof in the middle of the night and wait up in the ceiling until dawn. When employees opened up for business in the morning, he'd drop down, pull out a fake gun, and take control.
Good morning, team. No. Don't be scared.
Jeffrey wasn't purely a bad guy. If he noticed an employee without a jacket, he'd give them his own. He only took cash from the registers and never hurt anyone. When he was done, he'd escape back through the roof. This approach let him dodge all the security cameras, driving the cops crazy. It wasn't until he'd hit 46 stores that he finally slipped up and got caught. In court, he was sentenced to 45 years, basically a life sentence for his robbery career. But just 2 years later, he successfully pulled off a prison break. To avoid getting caught again, Jeffrey did something nobody expected. Instead of going on the run like most escaped convicts, he headed straight for a crowded big box store. Obviously, he wasn't there to shop. He walked around the store first, then snuck into the bathroom. There was an access point to the roof. With 46 robberies under his belt, Jeffrey knew building layouts inside and out. He climbed onto the roof with ease. It was spacious up there, the perfect hiding spot. Nobody would think to look for him in a place like this. He located the manager's office by following the air vents. Then, after everyone clocked out, he slipped down from above. While this limited where he could move, it had one major advantage: abundant supplies. But there was a problem. Overhead cameras covered the entire retail floor. Getting what he needed without being caught on tape was nearly impossible. Despite his best efforts, he kept failing. In the end, he had to settle for baby food jars to fill his stomach. Meanwhile, news about him started appearing on TV. His disappearance had created quite a stir. Nobody knew how he'd escaped. It was like he'd vanished into thin air. Even the cops were stumped. Some people even mythologized him, calling him an absolute genius. But Jeffrey knew the truth. Right now, he had to lay low. Outside, swarms of police were waiting for him, so he obediently returned to the roof and stayed there for an entire day. By the second night, he was getting worried about food. The baby food tasted terrible, and all the good snacks were within camera range. That's when he noticed an instruction manual for the surveillance equipment nearby. Following the directions, he fiddled with the controls and accidentally shut off the recording function. He was thrilled. He made a mad dash for the snack aisle. He didn't have to worry about getting caught anymore. Right now, the entire store was his playground. Better yet, while wandering around, he discovered an even better hiding spot. Behind the bicycle racks was a neglected dead space. The dust showed that nobody ever came back there. It was separated from the outside world by just a single wall, but nobody would ever imagine someone was living inside. Jeffrey slept during the day and came out at night. He turned his sleeping area into a secret base and completely replaced everything he owned. Jeffrey went wild in the store and almost couldn't stop himself. But when he saw baby monitors on the shelves, an even crazier idea popped into his head. He installed these devices on the wall in the manager's office and on shelves outside, letting him monitor the store in real time and giving him something to do when he got bored. When he saw an employee enter the office, he quickly put on headphones to hear what they were talking about. What he heard made his blood boil. Lee was a single mother. Work pressure meant she had no time for her daughter, so she asked for one day off to spend a nice weekend with her kids, but the manager flatly refused this simple request. Jeffrey, watching from his screen, was furious. When he noticed the manager typing in a password, he quickly wrote it down. he decided to secretly help Lee get justice. That night, he snuck into the office and opened the manager's computer. He found the work schedule and gave Lee a day off in the system. This was his 7th day at the store. Normally, the police would still be covering his case, but now there was no news about him at all. Apparently, they'd lost interest in one missing person. This excited him. It meant he could venture outside. He grabbed a bike from the store. Before people woke up, he took a spin around town. He even called a friend who could forge identities and help him start a new life. But his friend's girlfriend answered. The friend was abroad and wouldn't be back for 6 months. He called home. He wanted to chat with his daughter, but discovered his wife had found another man. In that moment, Jeffrey's heart shattered. He'd become a completely abandoned man. Worse yet, the store manager seemed to notice something was off. Some products had mysteriously disappeared in large quantities. The manager didn't know who did it, so he blamed a staff member who loved snacks. Lee stepped in to defend him. She also invited the manager to donate some damaged toys to the church. These toys would go to kids who needed them, but the manager agreed 1 second and tossed the flyer in the trash the next. Witnessing this, Jeffrey decided to do something, partly to show his apology. He collected some toys and left them outside the donation event. He planned to drop them off and immediately return to the store. After all, he was an escaped convict who could be recognized at any moment. But unexpectedly, event staff spotted him and enthusiastically brought him inside. Seeing hundreds of people singing and dancing, Jeffrey panicked a bit. If someone discovered he was a convict, he'd be done for. Luckily, he spotted Lee in the crowd. Watching her sing earnestly on stage instantly calmed him down. Her every smile and expression was magnified infinitely in Jeffrey's eyes. In that moment, he felt something strange stirring in his heart. After the event, the organizer thanked him for his generosity and introduced him to Lee. Although he'd seen her before, meeting her face to face gave him an inexplicable thrill. A few days later, they attended a singles party. Surprisingly, it was full of beautiful women.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought this was a singles brunch, not a supermodel brunch.
Jeffrey was hilarious. His jokes had everyone in stitches. With his participation, the atmosphere became incredibly warm. Lee was attracted to this handsome, charming man. She actually invited him on a date after the party. Jeffrey already had feelings for Lee, so he couldn't refuse. They quickly became a couple. Little did Lee know that the man before her wasn't the government official he claimed to be, but a convict who'd snuck out of prison. And after each date, he had nowhere to go, only able to hide in a forgotten corner of the store. Jeffrey knew this too. He couldn't hide his convict status forever, and everything he was doing now would eventually turn to dust. But Lee's confession was simply impossible to refuse. The next evening, he went to her house as planned and met Lee's 2 daughters. With no money for gifts, he brought some toys from the store to win the girls over. In this moment, Jeffrey experienced the normal life he'd been missing. He wanted to make it real, but his convict status remained a ticking time bomb. Discovery was inevitable, so he had to get out fast. But he never imagined that bomb would go off so soon. That day, he took a shower in the bathroom as usual. Suddenly, he heard singing outside. Opening the door, he was shocked to see the store manager, who should have been off the clock, had returned for some reason. If he came to the bathroom, it would be game over. Fortunately, the manager just passed by without noticing him. As he left, Jeffrey rushed out. His clothes were still hanging outside to dry. He had to get dressed quickly or things would get awkward. But just then, the manager inexplicably turned back around.
Tell me 'cause it hurts. No. What the fuck? Huh? What? Oh my god! Oh my god!
The manager's reflexes were quick. He called the cops immediately. Now Jeffrey was really screwed. If he went outside, the arriving police would nab him. Panicking, he hid in his secret base again. Sure enough, moments later, police showed up. Luckily, his spot was tricky enough that they couldn't find him despite searching extensively. Plus, the cameras weren't recording, leaving them with 0 leads. Though he dodged a bullet, news of the naked man at the store quickly became local headline material. And Lee was a store employee, so at a Christmas Eve dinner party, friends kept asking her about the naked guy. Everyone was laughing and joking about it. Jeffrey sat there silently. He was the pervert they were all mocking. While friends teased and joked, Lee expressed a completely different view. She thought the naked man was just a poor homeless person looking for a place to shower. People shouldn't judge him harshly, but should show compassion and understanding. Her words left Jeffrey feeling ashamed. He had to get out of there fast. Early the next morning, he secretly called his friend, who had just returned from abroad. They agreed to meet at a motel. The friend had obviously heard about Jeffrey's prison break. He was curious where this guy had been hiding that even the cops couldn't find him. After some small talk, his friend started processing new identity documents. But first, he needed a new hairstyle. After taking photos, his friend forged a new identity. However, the price was steep, $50,000. But for freedom-seeking Jeffrey, he had no choice but to agree. Worst case, he'd return to his old ways and be the rooftop bandit one last time. On his way back, he spotted a gun store nearby. He needed some equipment for his upcoming robbery. Without hesitation, he climbed onto the store's roof. Like always, he hammered open a big hole and dropped inside. He'd done this routine countless times. But embarrassingly, he'd hit the wrong store. He was in the jewelry shop next door. This was a first in his robbery career. No choice, he wasted extra time breaking through the wall. The gun store had a sophisticated automatic alarm system. He had to move fast. After grabbing a pistol, mask, and bulletproof vest, he prepared to escape through the front door. But the bulletproof glass was too strong. He was trapped inside. At that critical moment, his earlier mistake actually saved him. The store had a Buddha statue. Jeffrey didn't hesitate to pick it up. Though messy, he managed to escape. With weapons in hand, next came robbing a store. As for which one, Jeffrey had already picked his target, the toy store where he'd been living. Tomorrow was Christmas, and business would be booming. To serve every customer, the manager forbade employees from taking Christmas Day off. Jeffrey scheduled his heist for Christmas morning. Like before, he changed Lee's schedule in the system and lied that the manager had called to arrange it. This way, he wouldn't run into Lee during the robbery. After preparing everything, Jeffrey spent an unforgettable Christmas Eve at church with Lee and her 2 daughters. His eyes were full of reluctance. After tonight, they'd never see each other again. Soon, morning arrived. Jeffrey geared up and was ready to go. The store manager and employees prepared to welcome their first customer.
Good morning, Toys R Us employees. Hello, this is the police. You guys gonna know you got an alarm going off back there? Everybody this way?
Jeffrey expertly took control of every employee on site. Only one new security guard tried to resist.
Don't do this right now. Hey, what did I say?
This sent a message to everyone. The rest was much easier. He ordered one employee to tie up the other's hands, then had the manager go to the safe for money. There was a small trap, die packs placed in the money bags. Anyone who touched a die pack would trigger an explosion, making all the cash unusable. Jeffrey knew this well. He had the manager remove the bills with die packs. After finishing, he grabbed the money bags and prepared to leave quickly. Passing by the employees, he saw the guard from earlier had passed out, covered in blood. He felt bad, plus another employee was loudly begging him to call for help. Jeffrey hesitated. After thinking it over, he finally ran to the register and picked up the phone. But right then, a familiar voice came from behind him. It was Lee. Unexpectedly, she'd come to work early. They locked eyes. Lee was shocked. Though Jeffrey wore a mask, she seemed to recognize him. Without speaking, they both ran out of the store. Lee's appearance caught Jeffrey completely off guard, but he couldn't worry about that now. He ran into the woods with the money. He found his friend and handed over the $50,000. His friend kept his word. All the documents were ready. He also reminded Jeffrey to reach Chicago by 11 a.m. tomorrow. Early the next morning, Jeffrey hit the road, but he'd barely driven anywhere when Lee called. He couldn't bear to abandon her, so he answered, pretending nothing had happened. On the other end, Lee didn't mention the robbery, as if she hadn't recognized him as the robber. She invited him to Christmas dinner. Jeffrey instantly hesitated. Moments later, he turned the car around, wanting to see his beloved one more time. But as soon as he knocked on the door, a SWAT team appeared behind him. Lee had set him up. 6 months later, Jeffrey was finally back behind bars. This is a true story. Between 1998 and 2000, Jeffrey Manchester pulled off 46 consecutive robberies and became known as the Rooftop Bandit, causing a huge sensation across America. After getting caught and jailed, he orchestrated a prison break. He survived on baby food while hiding on a store rooftop, evading police pursuit. During that time, he even managed to get a girlfriend. Born in 1974, Jeffrey now has to stay in prison until 2036, when he'll be 62 years old. Interestingly, when the movie about this story premiered in the US, the real Lee actually attended the Los Angeles screening. She told reporters, "I only want to remember the good times, and I know Jeffrey is fundamentally a kind, sensitive, and loving person." To this day, she still visits him in prison regularly, and they talk on the phone every 2 weeks. Jeffrey was a military veteran with skills most people don't possess, but unfortunately, greed and shortcuts led him down the wrong path.